Okay, so I guess I had a request to make a quick video how I installed the heated grips on my wife's bike. The control grip is on the left side. The stock grips are pretty straight along the bar. When you install the new heated grips, they're going to be a little bit curved. There's going to be a little bit thicker in the middle. And the button to turn them on and off is here. The bike isn't on, but it has to be on in order for these to work. There's 3 settings. Well, 4. There's off, and then there's low, medium, and high heat. And they're switched to the ignition. So when you if you leave these on and you turn the ignition off and then turn it back on, this resets to off. So even if you forget to leave them and you leave them on, it's not going to kill the battery. And when you turn the bike back on, they won't be on. You'll have to turn them back on. So the left grip is the one that's glued, and for I think it probably took about an hour and a half. I was very particular about following the manufacturer's directions almost to the T. However, you can easily do this in under an hour. I know people have used different adhesives to glue grips on and stuff that it's not that big of a deal. I wanted to make sure I followed the manufacturer's directions though, because they're heated grips. And I don't know how the heat interferes, or if it even does, with the adhesiveness of some of the some of the retail available adhesives. So I bought the commercial adhesive that they recommend. Wasn't too difficult to find. There was a place down in LA that had it. So anyway, the install was pretty easy. Under the seat, if you've never pulled the tank before, you got to take the seat off, and then there we go. And then under the seat, there's 4 bolts on this plate, 1, 2, 3, 4, that hold that tank on. There's also, if I think this is a California emission thing, but there's 2 evap canister lines right there. And then on the other side of the bike, and it's not very bright over here. Let me turn this light on, see if this helps. Sorry about the messy garage, but our son is here from college, and he's got that giant BMW adventure bike and the Ducati over here. So that helps a little bit. So on this side is the gas line, and this is the gas line right here, and it goes this way and then makes a 90-degree left turn and plugs straight in on that side. Now the gas line is just a little tricky. It's a quick disconnect. You just pinch it and pull it out. However, it's kind of difficult to get something underneath of here and on top of here. So if you use 2 little screwdrivers and just kind of push down on one, up on the other, and pull, it comes out pretty easy. So you pull the gas line, you pull the evap or whatever these little vacuum tubes are, you unbolt the 4 bolts here, and then this tank will lift up. There's nothing that connects it in the front. The front of the tank, there's a little piece of metal brazed onto the inside of the tank that slides over a big rubber grommet on both sides that kind of protects it from vibration, I guess. But once you get all that done, you lift it up, and there's just a little electrical harness under there that you unplug, and that's super easy. And then the tank just comes right off. So shouldn't take you but 5 minutes to get that tank off. Under the tank is the air filter, by the way. So if you ever do your own air filter, it's under the tank. So once you get the tank off, we took her windshield off to make it easy. I also took this little plate off of the nacelle right here. She didn't have a big nacelle, but just this little metal plate. There's one side that I just unscrewed and kind of swiveled it out of the way, so I could get the wires and stuff down in there. And you can see see that white clip right there, that little white harness plugs in. That's part of the wiring for it. So basically there's a little control module thing in there. The wires come off of each side. So these are the wires for the right side. I just zip tied them to the existing wire. I think the directions say to zip tie these lines right here to the handlebars, but we didn't do that. I zip tied them to the existing lines. They go down through here, they go under the triple tree. You can see right in here. Turn that, there we go. So it goes under the triple tree and it comes out through here. And then down the side of the bike, that line right there is, that one on top follows this this factory braided, and this is exactly how they tell you to do it. Just follow this thing, zip tie it. There's a couple of places inside the bike on the other side of the tank that you would see if the tank was off, where it goes across the top of the motor. Over here, the line comes over, and then there's a control module down here that you actually plug into that's already installed in the bike. And that was honestly, that was the trickiest part, was finding the little, and of course you can't see it now because it's buried, but in the directions there's a little tab that slides into a slot that's already there. You got to cut the plastic off of the top of the metal slot and then slide the tab in there. It's just a tab, a metal tab thing. If you've ever used crimp-on electrical tools, it's just a tab that slides into a little receiver. It's pretty simple, and then you just wrap it with electrical tape. So the grips, the right side grip just clips on, okay? It's grooved. I actually have the grip right here, so it's the throttle side. So basically, it's got these grooves right here, right? And it just fits in and turns and clips in there. All you got to do is pull this cover. This cover is easy. This is all in the directions, by the way. This cover is pretty easy. Just 4 bolts and the thing comes right off. So then, and you can see this is the stock grip, which is pretty straight. And then the Indian heated grip has got a bit of a curve to it. It's a little fatter in the middle. So, so on the other side, what it tells you to do in the directions is to just leave this thing hanging on the wire, the grip. Just leave enough wire there to install it afterwards. But it tells you to run all these wires and zip tie this all up and put it all together and plug it all in, and then turn the grip on and make sure that the grip heats up for about 3 minutes, and then slide the grip on when you use the adhesive that they recommend. So what I did was I didn't leave that hanging and come back to that, because you got to leave enough slack in the wire so that you can reach all the way around the bar and put this grip on. And I thought that was kind of silly. So we just waited until we got that glued on, and then finished zip tying everything else and pulling in the slack in the lines and all that stuff. So that's, aside from not zip tying it to the handlebars, that's the second thing that we didn't do that the directions say. And I mean, you could probably get away with doing it like the directions say, but it looked like there was not going to be enough slack in the line there to do that. And it wasn't difficult to just put it on. You just got to wait a little bit longer for it to kind of set up, the glue to set up. The third thing was the glue. I did not use the adhesive they recommend. So they recommend Loctite 770 primer and Loctite 431 adhesive. Now, 431 and 401 are the same adhesive. 431 is a little thicker, 401 is a little thinner. These are commercial products. You can't go to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever and buy these off the shelf. You got to find some commercial place that sells these. I recommend doing what they say in regards to using the primer and the adhesive. Other places, other videos you might see might say, well, just make sure the bar is cleaned off, and then just run down to Cycle Gear or whatever and buy some grip glue and put it on there, no problem. Well, the inside of that grip is a kind of a porous rubber like this. And I don't know what the chemical properties are of some of those other adhesives to glue rubber to metal. So I followed the directions. So anyway, Loctite 770 primer. I called Loctite because I could not find this stuff on the shelf anywhere. I was standing in the aisle at Lowe's, and those people are useless. So I called Loctite, and I told the guy what I was doing, how I was using these products to glue heated grips onto a handlebar. And he actually recommended, instead of 431, he said that I should probably use 401. And the reason being is that it's a little bit thinner, and he was concerned that when you you just put one bead of glue on the bar, okay, and then you slide the grip on. His concern, the guy at Loctite, his concern was that if you put one bead of that 431 on there and then you slide the grip on, if it's at all tight right there, you're just going to squeegee all the glue up to the end of the bar up here, and it's not going to glue underneath of it. He said if it's a little thinner, it'll kind of make its way underneath. It'll slide over the top of it as opposed to just squeegeeing it on there. So that's what I did. I used the 401, and it worked fabulous. I put the primer on the inside of the grip like it said to do, and then I put a bead of the Loctite 401. You just put one bead like this, and then on the inside of this thing, you just run a little piece around the end, but on this side, not over here, and then you slide it on, and you actually get a good 30 seconds or so to be able to turn the grip and get the button where you want it. I would recommend before you glue it, you slide the grip on and kind of have an idea of where you want the button in relation to everything else. And this was the top of this little plastic V right here. Let me zoom in just a little bit. The top of this little plastic V, okay, is lined up with this edge, and that's just where my wife decided she wanted it. So I made sure that's where it was when I put it on, and I had plenty of time to do that. If you use other grip glues, it says right on the bottle, you've only got a few seconds to get this thing on there and get it where you want it. So I wouldn't recommend using those at all. So anyways, I know this is like a 13, 14-minute video to tell you how easy it was to do this. But it was super simple. And I mean, if I was able to put this together, I'm not a wrencher by any means. We have a couple of tools in our bags, but that's it. My son completely rebuilds his bikes. I can change the oil on mine. That's about it. So if I was able to do it, anybody will be able to do this. The install was pretty easy. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, just leave comments, and we'll see what we can do to help you. All right. Happy Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.